Well, hello and welcome to Bloomberg. Quint, Agam and I are here to tell you how the markets did today. And after trading in a very narrow 35 odd point range today, Agam, the market, the Nifty actually lost a good 50 odd points just in the last hour of trade. So the Sensex and the Nifty both lost close to about 0.3%, continue to drift lower for the sixth straight session, but I'm assuming the cash turnovers also wouldn't really be very high today.
Yes, absolutely, much lower than the previous couple of days averages. Now we need to remember that to a certain extent a lot of people were unwinding the positions, but today, given the fact that the cash turnover is standing around 14,000 crores, it really doesn't augur well for the FII DI participation either. And once again, this is going to simply keep tapering off going forward as well.
That's correct, Agam, and because you mentioned about the FI flows, of course, most of them would be in a holiday mode. Right. And just let me tell you that just in December, the start of December, I believe the first week, we had seen some sort of a reversal when it came to FI outflows from Indian equities. But now it seems that it was more like a blip because we started seeing a small sell number again every day.
Yes, and once again, in the last couple of weeks of December, we're really not going to be able to make from the trends of the kind of flows that we see. What's going to be important is perhaps the first couple of weeks of January. That's going to determine the direction of the markets. But I suspect it's the same because as far as the futures is concerned, low turnovers once again at around 2.9 lakh crore shares.
That's correct, Agam, and there's been very little change in the open interest even after the kind of unwinding that we saw yesterday. Even when it comes to the bank Nifty futures, not too many queues coming in after the large fresh FI selling that we actually witnessed yesterday. But which was the most active option?
Well, not much has changed from yesterday. Once again, we continue to see the same options written. So if you come and take a look at what's happened in the options market, it is the 8100 call which is seeing more writing, and well, it's the 7800 puts. So there is some amount of a caution building up as far as the options market goes. But with respect to the range that we're looking at right now, it's between 8000 and 8300. So that's also what we're working with as far as the December series is concerned, and we're not too far away from expiry. In fact, exactly a week away.
Right. So moving on to some of the Nifty movers. Well, the FMCG index was witnessing some selling pressure today. So your HUL, Britannia, Marico, Dabur, all of them ended in the red, and on the back of that, continuing with that, you also saw index heavyweight ITC dragging Nifty lower, so lost a good 1.5% or so. You also had Sun Pharma and Bharti Infratel amongst the other losers. On the other hand, Ultratech Cement, Lupin and NTPC were sitting on some marginal gains northwards of about 1%.
And you know what, Shraddha, it's the same for the broader markets too, because with respect to the advanced decline ratio, we're looking at one gainer for one loser, and this is broadly speaking. Let's take a look at some of the key gainers and losers today. Yesterday's gainer, Alok Industries, which gained 10%, is now losing around 8%, but we must remember this is a penny stock, so it's back at around 3.4%. This is followed by Seat Industries and Escorts, as well as Petronet LNG, and Network 18 now looking at some amount of weakness, declining by as much as 4%. But there were plenty of stocks which were gaining, and among some of them were the brokerage stocks. So Motilal Oswal at the top, up as much as 8.4%, followed by PC Jeweler. Shilpa Medicare has also started coming in. Reliance Communications gaining 6.3%, but I'm going to go back to Shraddha and talk about Reliance Communications in details. But other than that, we also have some gains in Welspun Corp as well as JBF Industries in the list of gainers. But Shraddha, why has Reliance Communications moved up substantially?
So Agam, Reliance Communications has gone ahead and signed a binding agreement with Brookfield Infrastructure. They had a non-binding agreement previously. Now they've gone ahead and signed a binding agreement for the sale of Reliance Communications towers, of its tower business. The key takeaway here is that they're going to be receiving an upfront cash payment of about 11,000 crores. So again, the key focus is debt reduction and balance sheet deleveraging, given the kind of debt that RCom is sitting on. Additionally, RCom will also receive certain non-voting shares in the tower company, and that could, it makes it eligible for 49% future economic upside, if any, from the business. So given that the combination of Arcom's wireless business with Airtel, the previous deal, and the monetization of tower assets, both of these leads to a net debt reduction of close to 31,000 crores. So I believe what remains on the book is now about close to 10,000 crores. So near reduction of about 70% as far as the debt is concerned. So that was the key takeaway. The stock did rise by about 9.5–10%, but settled a little bit lower than that.
Right. And again, this is perhaps, it's just going to be about the mid caps for the next few days, because we're not really expecting too much, especially from your pension funds or your ETF funds when it comes to your FII flows, or for that matter domestic institutions.
And Agamya, given the fact that we're going to probably see low trading volumes, we could it's natural to expect some volatile movements, and that can really happen in mid cap
Yes,
stocks.
it's a surprise move that I may be wary of, because what we saw yesterday was substantial accumulation in a couple of futures, but it hasn't really showed up, so it is a possibility that it could show up later on. So well, that is all that we have for now. It's been a very quiet day. There is expectation that it could be another quiet couple of weeks, but you never know. You'll have to stay tuned in, not only into the markets, but well, you can always stay tuned into Bloomberg Quint as well for more updates as well as news. So that is all that we have, and till the next time, it is goodbye.